Hey everybody, welcome on back. It's a Rubbin Racing podcast, and it's brought to you by Cabo Wabo Tequila, which I have right in front of me. I found the new drink this weekend, guys. I'm going to mention it right away. It's called a Charo Negro. Mexican Coke, a little bit of lime juice, and Cabo Wabo Tequila. I had a couple of them this weekend. They were fantastic.
How many's a couple?
A couple. I don't like to be judged.
Amount.
I don't like to be judged, Spider, especially from you, because I've seen you be overserved as well. But no, we were up glamping, wasn't much to do, so I was throwing down the Charo Negros like it was going out of fucking style. Cabo Wabo, the unquestionably Mexican tequila with an undeniably American attitude. It isn't just tequila; it's damn good, thick cut, 100% Blue Weber agave tequila. And Cabo Wabo is the official tequila partner of NASCAR. So add a bold splash to any race day watching with Cabo Wabo tequila. And if you're heading to a race this weekend, come celebrate race day with Cabo Wabo, particularly in Michigan, because on Saturday they're going to be running the Cabo Wabo 250. But you got to use this stuff responsibly, and you have to be 21 years or older. Grab your buds, bottle of Cabo Wabo tequila for the boldest race day experience. Thanks very much, Cabo Wabo, and best of luck on the race this weekend. We were there last year, and it was a sight to behold. We'll talk about that in a little bit. This is the week where Austin Dillon chose violence, so we're going to talk about that for almost all of the episode. And also, so since we release later on in the week, I know guys who know more about NASCAR have already talked about this to death. We're also recording before we find out what the punishments are. So perhaps either Spider or I will do some sort of break-in tomorrow after we know about the official punishments, if there are any, just to give you guys updates. But otherwise, you'll get our thoughts after everybody else's reaction. And we're bringing Ross Chastain on just to kind of shoot the shit about that, also about driving in his underwear, the whole deal. So it should be a good show. We're back after a 2-week vacation. I look fantastic. Spider looks great. Quiggs looks okay. Moonhead looks like he got hit by a fucking bus. And Manoli's on the ones and twos. So the whole gang is here. How's everybody doing? How are the Olympics? Anybody watch them?
I watched the shit out of the Olympics.
I got heavy into the Olympics.
And I was going to go around the room and ask everyone what their favorite Olympic sport that they watched this Olympics was. And obviously, I'm not going to pick one of the trendy ones. Like, obviously, USA basketball was fun to watch. Swimming's always historically good. And the track and field was great.
I don't see a lot of cross promotion here at Barstool ever, and it's one of the things that I think is one of the downfalls of this company, right? Because a rising tide lifts all ships. So I'm going to do a little cross promotion. The Wonton Don was over there with a guy I use for production, John Kelly, does a lot of my boxing stuff. And it looks like the Wonton Don and John were able to get embedded with a bunch of different teams and all that shit. So whenever those Wonton Don videos come out, about him being, swimming in the Seine, doing all this kind of shit, please tune into that, because that guy is, I don't know, is it universal that the Wonton Don is a fucking G, or is it just me? I love him.
Yes, it's universal. I have people that come up to me and be like, oh my God, you work with Wonton Don. He was doing some great stuff, great content over the Paris Olympics. He actually had the live streaming backpack. So he's putting out a bunch of edited videos now that are worth watching, where he goes and tours each country's house, which is really cool. But also, he was live in real time from Paris with a little backpack, which I sneaky want to borrow from him and take to the racetrack. Imagine us on pit road pre-race live streaming. That would be really cool. We would one-up Michael Waltrip so quick. But, Donnie killed it. And John Kelly, he doesn't get enough shine at this company, one of our best editors and video guys ever. So the fact that he was there with him, I think they put out some great stuff. Personally, for the Paris Olympics, my favorite thing to watch, if it wasn't the Wonton Don's content, was, I believe it was called rhythmic dancing, not the break dancing,
right,
but they were dancing with these batons, and they would chuck the batons 30 yards in the air and then get down on their stomach and lay flat on their stomach and catch it with their legs behind their back. The most fascinating shit I've ever seen.
Guys?
No, women. And I was really impressed. That was probably the sport that came out of nowhere, and I was like, holy shit, these people are incredible talents.
Mine's more not sport. I watched everything and loved it. The USA basketball finals, I went to Hank's place, and it was during the
air show,
and it was one of the most American things ever. It's just watching USA basketball, then hear some loud noises, turn around, you got the Blue Angels behind you, That's B-1 awesome. Bombers. It was a sick way to enjoy it.
Moon, anything jump out at you from the Olympics?
Women's boxing. I didn't really watch a whole lot, but that stuck out.
I didn't watch that. I'm bummed I missed it.
Yeah.
How about
Most
you,
beautiful-
Larch?
I was cheering
Most
for
beautiful woman in the world, Moon. I don't know who you consider, but would you rather see her wrestle or do you want to see her box? Aha! It's a play on words. Because a box is what they call vaginas. Manoli, what was your favorite thing? I'm assuming it's going to involve one company that's got a blue and white flag, but one country that has a blue and white flag. What was your favorite thing from the Olympics?
Funny enough, it's actually coming from the Greeks' arch rivals, Turkey. The guy Youssef, I think it's Dikac, the shooter. That was, I saw a quote. He's like, everyone thought I was calm and collected, but really had a storm raging in me.
Really?
I'm like, everyone's showing up with like all this like high tech eyewear, their guns, and he just rolls up with his eyeglasses and secures the silver medal for Turkey, or Turkey A, however you pronounce it now.
He shot with both eyes open, which I think is even another. Like those guys all had the flaps,
Yep.
but you typically close your eye for your dominant eye. Did some skeet shooting this weekend. This guy was just out there fucking boom boom.
That guy looked exactly like my barber in New York City. Like exactly. And I texted him and I was like, has anyone else told you that you look identical to this guy? And he's like, my phone's blowing up. Everyone's sending me this.
I like.
And
how
there was also that gymnastics guy that looked like Robbie Fox while we're at Doppler.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, the specialist, the fucking ringer. Like all he does is a pommel horse or some bullshit. Yeah. I like how Moonhead is sort of like, quiet and stuff, but he mentions the most controversial part of the Olympics. I think he put air quotes over women's.
I didn't even realize
women's
that's
boxing.
what he was talking about.
Yeah. Women's boxing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like he was like, you know what? I really like the opening ceremony. I like their interpretation. As a Catholic, I've always wanted to see somebody's balls fall out.
Moonhead's joke went right over my head.
I will tell you, I'd seen some woman doing that the clean and jerk weightlifting thing, and so they showed a clip from her from like the World Championship, not the Olympics. Did you see this? Where she cleans it up to her shoulders, and when she did it, she dislocated her finger. She has this giant weight on the bar. She rests it on her shoulders, under her chin. She takes her hand out, and it shows to the crowd that her one finger is going like this. So her hand looks like that. She takes it, pops it fucking back on the bar, and presses the fucking thing up. I was like, holy shit. Insane. How about the guy who fucking tries to force her into prom sex or something? Like, that guy would be fucked.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And by the way, consent, no means no. I'm saying if it was to happen, I'm hoping it does, because this fucking woman would clean and jerk his cock right off.
Last thing on Olympics, then we could talk racing. Did you guys see the pole vaulter who lost because his dong was too big?
Yeah.
Too big of a dick.
It's a great way to lose.
Incredible. At least now the world knows that he's just packing heat.
I could be wrong. I feel like this is the most memed Olympics like in history.
Yeah.
I think everyone from here on out is just going to become more and more memed, though. That's just the society we live in nowadays.
Yeah.
The guy who won the gold medal in pole vaulting, and listen, you know me, I'm as manly as they come. Like, I couldn't help but be like, man, you don't have as big of a dick as you know what I mean. Like, as he was going over, I was looking specifically on whether his dick would clear the bar, and he didn't have a lot going on.
He might have a gold medal, but he's got a micro penis too, so give and take.
Yeah, and somebody said to me, because I tweeted that, and somebody said, no, the guy who won the gold medal as a Swedish model as a girlfriend. I'm like, yeah, but you don't think that girl's got a picture of the French guy's dick in her phone? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you should have done your iconic quote tweet of that guy and just said, not me.
Yeah, exactly. LaJoy is out. So we haven't been here for 2 weeks, right? Because of the Olympic break. Corey LaJoy is out. Corey LaJoy just sent packages to me and Spider. He does some work with, I can't remember the sunglass company, but they're called 2 Cents. And so he sent me and Spider some sunglasses, which was pretty cool. Corey's always been so nice to us. We've mentioned a couple of times we played in that charity outing that he has. But Corey LaJoy is out at Spire. So there's going to be a lot of conjecture and whatnot on who's going to jump into the 7 and what Corey's going to do. We don't know anything right now. I mean, somebody told me that they think he's going to go all the way down to trucks, then run a partial schedule in Xfinity. I just don't know. We don't know who's going to jump in the seat. Any reactions to that? I know it's old news because we haven't been here for 2 weeks, but, Corey, a relatively friend of the show. Spider, you want to shit on him at all or anything?
I mean, I do feel bad. I was super critical of him, but at the same time, I kind of...
You lost him his job.
I don't feel any responsibility. I will say I do not feel any responsibility for him losing his job. Do I feel bad of the timing? Yes. Did I throw gasoline on a fire? Yes. But at the same time, I'm going to remain of the same opinion I was a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, I do love Corey personally. Do I think there are better drivers that are more deserving of the opportunities? Yes. I don't know. I was pretty surprised by this news as much as I kind of called for it, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't
and
think
then
you
to
called
see
for it. We were just kind of pointing out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
But then again, to see him this week, I thought he might drive his ass off, and
he did not.
To see a 34th place finish only kind of makes me at peace with some of the things I said on previous episodes of this podcast. So I'm rooting for Corey, whether it be Trucks, Xfinity. I hope he finds a good ride, and I hope he can continue to remain a name in the sport that we love. But I don't think that long-term at Spire was the place for him.
It must have been in works behind the scene. I think them hiring Rodney Childers.
Tyler Childers, we're calling
Childers,
him.
Yeah. They probably hired him knowing that LaJoie was gone.
And I think after this news broke, and again, it's been 2 or 3 weeks now that this has came out. I think some of the people in the NASCAR space on social media were referring to press releases that did not specify Corey LaJoie as the 7-car driver, but instead said, we look forward to welcoming Rodney Childers and pairing him with the 7-car. Now, again, I'm not reading the quote word for word, so I could be kind of mincing words, but there was kind of some smoke that seemed, hey, maybe they were considering this when they hired Rodney a few weeks previous.
He had thrown a little bit of smoke saying that he'd still want to get a real banner to hang on the wall in Spire before he leaves, because Justin Haley won as a part-time driver back at the 2019 Daytona win, which people say, people judge the quality of wins all the time. And I think Justin Haley is obviously one of the guys that might be in the mix to sit into the seat. But I'm curious to see where Corey lands. Like, I don't know what the next step is, even with the podcast, because the podcast is Stacking Pennies, and it's on SiriusXM as well as all these other podcast platforms. And they do a good job, and he's got a bunch of good connections. Like, he can do that too, and also just kind of run that lighter truck schedule if he wanted to. I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to talk about this over the next couple of weeks. And at the end of the day, we just hope that he winds up in a good ride and is happy and all that shit, because Corey's a good guy. And he's as handsome as fuck. But go ahead.
Yeah, Larch, real quick, while we're recording, I know you mentioned that Haley was a potential candidate for the 7-car. I'm personally still tooting the horn for my guy Kyle Busch. I would love to see him make the jump and be paired up with Rodney and see if they're capable of that. Although, who knows, after Austin Dillon's win, maybe RCR is capable of winning races, and it's just a matter of time for Kyle Busch, and we need to be more patient. However, where I'm going with this is, as we sit here and record this podcast, Moonhead just shared the tweet of NASCAR posting that Eric Jones will be back in the 43 car. Legacy Motor Club has announced a multi-year contract extension for Eric Jones. So that's another name that we can consider out for the 7 ride. I'm not even sure if that was one that we were considering. I would like to see personally Eric Jones kind of get a better ride. I love the fact that he was considered for Truex's ride earlier this year. I remain a fan of him, and I think he's kind of the glue that holds Legacy together. So I hope an opportunity comes for him soon.
It's good to see Legacy making big moves.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, good on them for being able to retain him, because this was a very silly season.
I don't know. I don't know.
But so as we talk about the silly season, and by the way, we're going to get to all the carnage from Sunday. As we talk about the silly season, we constantly say we'd like to see him in a better ride, right? Oh, I'd like to see him in a better ride, all that kind of stuff. Should we be rooting that the ride gets better? That maybe Legacy gets their shit together, however that happens, and I don't know how that happens. And then Eric Jones is at the forefront of a real team, or a more real team, not necessarily a Joe Gibbs Racing or something like that, right? Wait, where is that?
That makes sense.
Do they have any chance?
I think simultaneously. I think as they become more in bed with Toyota, I mean, they just changed manufacturers, so obviously there's going to be a little bit of growing pains. They're not going to be operating at 100% right away. Then you add in the change of competition directors and the internal, staff members at Legacy calling the shots, whether it be Jimmy Johnson's involvement, or I know they had a change of competition director earlier this year. So I think there's a lot of things, but I mean, I'm simultaneously, one, rooting for a better opportunity for Eric, and two, if that doesn't come along, then his team to continue to grow and turn the corner.
I'm going to rally back to what you said about Kyle Busch jumping in the 7. I had seen a pretty good take, and I like to give credit where credit's due. NASCAR Prophecy on Twitter, that gentleman said that I would totally understand him wanting to take a chance at JGR or HMS seat, but I feel like RCR to Spire is not beneficial enough. Do you actually think Spire is going to be better than RCR? Last year, Kyle was able to get 3 races so quickly people forget. Yes, they struggled this year, but it seems like Richard is making the personnel moves to address the problems. Must I remind everyone that Spire Motorsports has one cup victory versus RCR that has 116 wins. So that kind of, I don't think Kyle Busch is going to make a lateral to lower move, right? Like that, it'd be as miserable in a fucking Spire car.
Well, that's the thing is I don't think Spire has better equipment or anything, but I've kind of all season been like, what Kyle Busch needs, it's just a change of scenery, new, fresh start kind of, that I think it could be a benefit to him, to where he just has a new, just kind of let RCR go and start again and see if he can get back to Kyle Busch, who could win in lesser equipment if he raced the way he used to.
I'm not smart enough to know how much of an impact someone like Rodney Childers or a crew chief has on any given driver, or how much that actually impacts your ability to win. Based on the way people speak about him as a free agent, when he was a free agent, Rodney I'm speaking about, it leads me to believe that if you pair him and Kyle Busch, like, they would definitely show better results than what we've seen from RCR this year. Which, and again, I know to NASCAR Prophecy's point, RCR has a history of winning, but if you put a blindfold on and put the results on paper in front of me right now, RCR, well, actually, that's a stupid hypothetical. What I'm saying is RCR, in my opinion, has kind of trended downward recently, whereas Spire has come into all this money, all this funding. Corey LaJoie was the mainstay that helped them kind of build their team into what it is, and now they feel as though they're at a point where they can start assembling pieces to get them in a winning position, whether that means Rodney Childers, whether that means whoever they're eyeing for the 7 car. So I think, if you ask me right now, which has the higher ceiling, I think that's a more, even question. And I'm not saying Spire is an upgrade over RCR. I think it would be a lateral move. But like I said, for where Kyle Busch is at right now, he would be foolish not to consider every option before him. I do agree that I would consider it a lateral move. NASCAR Prophecy kind of makes it sound like a downgrade.
It's a down move.
Yeah, I would consider it on even playing field, just based on the results and the trends of each team involved that we've seen recently.
Okay. And then you give it a little bit of a premium just because it's a fresh set of downs in a new spot.
Right. As Quig said, a fresh start. Now, that being said, this is something that I would like to see happen. I don't think it will happen. Right. I do love RCR, and if Kyle Busch were to remain there, I'm still going to be rooting for him there. But in terms of his winning ability, I think I would slightly give a little margin to Spire currently.
Okay. I saw a stat that made me a little bit emotional. I didn't realize Dale Earnhardt Jr. is now older than his dad was when he died. Because Dale just seems like he's got so much youth and stuff on him. It just kind of puts in perspective. But then I also saw that I'm the same age as Wilford Brimley when he filmed Cocoon, which fucks with me a little bit. I'm the same age as fucking Roy Orbison, who's in Traveling Wilburys. So I guess it's just a number. Juan Pablo Montoya is coming back. Are you guys excited about that? I mean, I kind of did not a deep dive, a shallow dive beyond just setting a truck on fire because I don't have a lot of historical perspective on this gentleman. He's a fucking rock star, an absolute fucking rock star. How do we feel? You know what? I'm going to start with Moonhead, maybe, because you probably are most familiar with him, right, Spide?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with you. What do you feel about this guy coming back? Should I be angry? Should I start doing the SVG thing that this fucking guy, well, you know how I get with a little dash of racism? What do you think? Talk to me about Juan Pablo Montoya coming back to drive the 2311 Racing number 50 Cup at Watkins Glen as part of the Mobil One celebration of its 50th anniversary. It will be Montoya's first Cup race since the 2014 Brickyard 400.
It's awesome. He's probably one of the most underrated race car drivers ever because he's won in basically everything I can think of that he's raced in. won some big races, and he didn't do bad in NASCAR. He tore a lot of shit up, but he was always pretty quick. He had a hell of a temper. He didn't take shit off anybody, which I always thought was pretty cool. So I'm really excited to see him back. I think it'll be cool to see how he does in the next gen with how different NASCAR was 10 years ago. Maybe he'll do. I think with his sports car experience and road racing experience, he won't be slow. But I think it'll be cool to see what he thinks about the next gen and kind of the direction they're taking that car and see how it compares to what he was used to back in the day. But I'm excited. I haven't seen anybody hating on it either. Like, everybody seems united that they think it's cool that he's coming back. So
the track dryers are pissed about it, from what I heard. No, in all seriousness, I'm glad Moonhead provided us some insight. From all I know about Juan Pablo Montoya is the jet dryer incident. Obviously, I know that he's like a name in the sport for various, disciplines of motorsports, but I'm glad he's back in NASCAR. And it sounds like, as Moonhead said, it's 100% accurate. I didn't see one person that was like, fuck this. Like, everyone seemed to be pretty excited about it. So I'm looking forward to it. I welcome him back, and hopefully we can continue to kind of have legends of motorsports come and try NASCAR.
I want one prediction. I'm going to ask Quiggs. Is Juan Pablo Montoya? What a great fucking name!
It is
a Princess Bride name. You know what I mean? You killed my father, and now you must. Is he worth a couple of dollars to bet on at Watkins Glen? Or do you think it's one of these Jimmy Johnson type things, like when we see people come back? Would you throw a couple of bucks on Juan Pablo, Quiggs? Because you're the cheapest out of all of us.
I was going to say,
I
would throw a couple and no more than that.
Okay.
It'd be a fun bet to do. Like,
Right.
You're not doing it expecting him to win, but I'm sure his odds will be pretty long, and it'd be a fun guy to bet on.
I'll take him top 10 probably.
Top 10. All right, cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. The Reds and the Braves will play the first MLB game ever in the state of Tennessee. I had to check that. No one's ever played a professional baseball game in the state of Tennessee. I wonder how many states have never hosted a baseball game. Tennessee was one of them, not anymore. Saturday, August 2nd, 2025 at Bristol Motor Speedway. I hate when they fucking play football in a baseball stadium. I'm going to go see Notre Dame play fucking Army in the fall at Yankee Stadium. It's awful. Absolutely awful, but it's just so close. I got to go. But I think watching baseball and it's not the first time that they're doing this, at a NASCAR track is going to be fantastic. Should we go to that, Spider?
I'm going to try to definitely go.
Yeah.
I think they got to have Chase Elliott throw out the first pitch for I know he's a big Atlanta Braves fan. Is there who's from Ohio? Blaney is an Ohio guy? Cincinnati? I don't know if that's close to, where did he grow up? Hartford, Ohio, I think he's from. I don't know. I don't know my Ohio geography, but if there's any other Ohio-born drivers, I think they should have one represent each team, and then Chase Elliott for the Braves and throw out the first pitch. I think that'd be cool, maybe. But the whole idea is sweet. I loved when they did the Battle of Bristol. I think it was Virginia Tech versus Tennessee.
Yeah.
Played football there probably like 10 years ago at this point, but that was sick. And Bristol Motor Speedway is probably one of my top 3 favorite tracks. Iconic NASCAR place, bucket list destination for everyone. So even if these fans who are baseball fans get to go see it for a baseball game, I still think that's kind of a dub and something that everyone should see. So I love it all the way around, and hopefully we can be there large.
I think it's much more fit for a football game.
Oh, agreed. But even then, you know what's crazy?
Yeah.
Bristol is the smallest infield. Like, it's just one of the smaller infields.
It's still massive.
I don't want to say that with certainty. Someone fact check me on that. It's a tiny infield. Like, there's no, like, you go to Daytona, there's fans and shit in there. But, like, when they put a football field there instead of the haulers, there was still so much extra room, which is crazy. That puts into perspective these NASCAR tracks. So I'm interested to see how the baseball diamond actually fits on there. But
that's the rendering.
I was gonna say the graphic. I understand that NASCAR tracks are massive, but seeing that graphic and how entire baseball field fits comfortably in the center, it like makes me sick. I don't know. Like,
of a short track.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, everyone knows that you can have a baseball field next to a football field, next to an airstrip, next to Lake Lloyd at Daytona. It doesn't matter. But to see some of these smaller places kind of puts it into perspective.
Like, if there's ever another national pandemic, like NBA played in the bubble at Walt Disney.
Mm-hmm.
They should just go to like Talladega and set up like 10 MLB stadiums and just play the MLB playoffs How cool would that be?
This is problematic because a couple of weeks ago, Spider was calling for Corey LaJoie to be fired, and it happened, and now he's calling for another pandemic. So everyone take that with a fucking grain of salt, because I don't want to be responsible for it. Well, we'll probably.
I'm not wishing that out into the air.
Yeah. You know what they could do for this baseball game?
What's that?
They could do simultaneously the first NASCAR e-racing series, the battery powered cars.
Oh yeah,
that would
Let's
be
whip
cool.
that out.
You do it during the game,
quietly
so
going
silent.
around. Yeah.
That was fucking hot. Well, people would burn it to the ground. I don't think there's anything else we're going to touch on before we get into this. Again, we're going to have Ross Chastain come in about 20 minutes to kind of give his take on what happened. I'm going to go down the line. If you don't know what happened this weekend, I'm not going to tell you. What did you think, Spider? We're very close friends with the Austin Dillon camp. I don't mean very close friends like we get invited to shit, but just they're always very receiving whenever we're at the racetrack. So we know the guys and all that shit. It was kind of wild to watch them celebrate. You sent a clip along, or excuse me, a tweet along today, which I thought was extremely fucking funny since we both know Swanee. But what did you think about it? Give me your take first on the Austin Dillon basically killdozing his way to a cup win and a playoff berth. As of now, again, we don't know what's going to happen with NASCAR, but the win stands and he's in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get smoked for this take, so let me say that before I give it to you. I said to Quiggs earlier as we were setting up for the show today, that was one of the most, like, I can't remember another time where I had that much adrenaline, like my heartbeat was going that hard, solely off something I watched on TV. So, like, in terms of excitement and drama, Austin Dillon, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And there were a lot of reactions. I think, Joey Logano was at the top of the list in terms of being red hot. We rarely see that side. I love that we got that from Joey. He was throwing personal shots at Austin Dillon as soon as they put the mic in his face. And I loved seeing that side of Joey. Then you have Denny Hamlin, who I would say was medium. He was in the middle and was like, he and I share the same opinion, which is Austin Dillon's hands were tied. With this given current playoff format, you are setting up a guy to have to make an egregious dickhead move like what we saw. When it's win and you're in, and Austin Dillon has the best car he's had in 80 weeks, that is what's going to happen. Does it suck? Is it dirty? Is it egregious? Yes, a little bit, but at the end of the day, that is the name of the game. And I know we've been long critical of Elton Sawyer, whatever the fuck the competition, the guy at NASCAR's name is, who has to deal with all this and award penalties and that sort of thing. That's the hardest job. I love my job. We're blessed to come on here and talk about motorsports and go to these races. If there's one part about it that sucks, it is trying to determine what the penalty should be for all this shit that goes down and that we get to be benefit of from watching on Sunday. It's tough when we come in on Tuesday or Wednesday and have to, assess penalties.
Spider, what's the line? What's the line, Spider? Because that's going to be it. I think everyone's talking about this and having people talk about this, even though Denny is saying that it ruins the integrity of the sport or whatever. It does get eyes. It does. I happened to be watching it with my 14-year-old daughter when we were down the beach. She just happened to be next to me at the end of the race. She went bananas. She was like, "Oh my God, the three!" She's so into NASCAR now. Like she's very. Then she's like, "Oh my God, what?" So. But we also can't have drivers doing that. The other 20 some odd drivers who are out of the playoffs want to get into the playoffs by hooking the fuck out of everybody. So what's the line with you, Spider, and what do you think they can do?
Elton Sawyer they put a mic in his face and he said something that I agree with. NASCAR has had a long history of allowing contact, beating and banging. Rubbin is racing is the name of this show, for God's sakes. When the playoffs are on the line and you have a car like that, I can't knock Austin Dillon for what he's doing, especially when he's self-aware enough to get on the mic and be like, I didn't want to do that. It sucks that I had to do that. Now, do I agree with Richard Childress saying that no one from RCR told him to wreck him? Absolutely not.
God.
Like, you got to call a spade here. It's 2024. I think you're kind of foolish for trying to pretend as if that wouldn't see the light of day. We're all going to hear, the radio. But that being said, while I'm in the name of ranting and giving you my opinion, I have to touch on Joey Logano, a guy that I like. Mm-hmm. It's his turn for the smoke this week. As you said, Large, we are close personal friends with Austin Dillon. and the Swan family, and I saw a clip that was so egregious.
Oh, that
post race that I cannot sit here and defend Austin Dillon, or excuse me, Joey Logano. I understand you're upset, dude, and I just complimented you. Like, get your smoke off on the microphone. Don't drive like an asshole after the race is over down pit road when the NASCAR officials are saying, hey, go to this side, not this side of me. There's fans over there. There's families over. And also, real quick, anyone who's on the internet right now saying, what are the children doing there? What are the families doing there? Dude, log off. Touch grass. You're an absolute loser. I'm of that opinion. If you can't celebrate with your children post-race, what are we doing here? All these drivers bring their kids out pre-race for driver intros. They wave on stage. There's no problem with it. You can't all of a sudden have a problem with it after the guy who has the longest odds in the field wins the race. They have every right to be down there celebrating. If they're going to credential my ass to be down there post-race on the track celebrating, there is no excuse why little RC Dillon, little Ace Dillon, whatever the hell his name is, can't be down there celebrating with his dad. I'm sorry. That's my take on it. Joey Logano, clown move. He revved that shit. He almost took out family members, NASCAR officials, pit crew guys. I saw, I don't know, a whole lot of loser energy. The only guy in that video that I can defend is the very last dude in the white shirt that started motherfucking Joey Logano at the end and got right in front of him. I need to know who that dude is. He's the only one with the brain as far as I'm concerned, but I cannot defend what else I saw.
Joey, I love what he said on the mic. So much fucking umbrage, and we've used that word before, so you don't make
rebuttal.
me do it again. Yeah. Before he does, I'm going to give Quiggs the mic for a sec, right? Just because I have a couple of points to make, but I don't want to run anybody over. Quiggs, what did you think? So Spider now, we're expecting Joey to get. I'd be shocked if Joey doesn't get a fine, right?
I mean, he has to.
Oh, he has to.
And that stings. If Austin Dillon doesn't get enough of a slap on the wrist, and Joey gets robbed of the race, essentially gets driven through, after turn fucking 4 or into between 3 and 4. And then gets a fucking fine for overreacting on pit row. Wow, that's a tough. That's tough.
That's
pill
the
to
only
swallow.
Penalty I feel comfortable.
That's a definite. I don't know what the other shit is, but
they're holding children.
Yeah, no, he had aggression on pit road. I don't know. I mean, that he had, I guess, reason, but I don't know. He kind of just bucked at the family with the car.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He kind of pulled it up on him, revved it. If he had a gun, it would have been a drive-by shooting.
I do it all the time in New York City, so I'm being hypocritical. If the light and you're casually going across as the light goes red, I gun it by you, just to let you know that you made me wait almost 2 seconds. I do it all the time. There's a fucking cup car. I will tell you right now, there are too many people on fucking pit row every race. It's a shit show. Like you say, kids should be out there celebrating with their driver dads and whatnot, or moms, right? If Dan, whatever. I remember the championship. You and fucking Carl were out there with Kyle Larson. There has to be a little bit more control around the pits, because it does turn into a fucking shit show as 38 cars are coming in after driving for 3 hours. And, in 130-degree heat in the fucking cars. I think there does need to be a little bit of a buffer, because NASCAR... Oh, you do? Okay.
There should be no change. I've long said on this podcast that the number one thing NASCAR has going for it is the access. How close the fans can get, how close people can get to the race. The second the drivers jeopardize that's you want to talk about drawing a line. That's where I draw the line. Both these mothers were holding their children on pit road after their team
They knew the risks.
They deserve to celebrate. No, they don't. There is no risk. They know that these drivers are professionals and should not weaponize their cars, especially at people that are not even involved in the situation. Right. If you want to wreck Austin Dillon after the race, do it. If you want to throw a fist at him, do it. If you want to shit on him on the mic, do it. You do not do what I saw in that video. I'm sorry. Moonhead, I can't wait to hear what you got for us.
Oh, wait, hold on. Quiggs, is there anything you feel about Austin Dillon? Did you think that Austin Dillon was way off base? Do you think he should be thrown in a volcano, or do you think he should just get a slap on the wrist?
No, I think the way it was, two guys with stickers on their car already in front of you, you might not win a race for another year, another 2 years, and you have that chance. And he had an amazing race before it. He was killing it all day. You have to take that chance and just let the chips fall where they will after. And I think any punishment other than the win being taken away is a win for Austin Dillon. Like, I don't know, if they suspend him 2 races, he doesn't care. Like, he's got his playoff spot and he's happy with it. But yeah, that was definitely a do what you got to do and then ask questions later, take the consequences.
I agree. And Spider had said that.
And it was fun. It was fun to watch, and it was like a video game finish. And
if he didn't get to the front fair and square and have one of the best cars all day, and then have a flawless final pit stop, I would have had the Corey LaJoie take I gave you guys 2 weeks ago. I would have said, why are we just weaponizing the cars? Instead, he had, again, win and you're in the playoffs. His hands were kind of tied. And then he also had the self-awareness on the mic to say, you know what, I didn't want to have to do that. This is just the name of the game and where we were at. My hands were tied, kind of. So that's why maybe call me. I bet they're going to say that I'm letting Austin Dillon off easy.
No,
I think the context
it's the situation.
Important.
Like, in theory, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. You can't just wreck your way to a win. But he has to.
Right.
You can't sit back and...
I mean, I think it leads us to a greater discussion.
I don't know.
Is this playoff format the best way to decide a winner? Which I have some very strong opinions on. Probably won't share now.
That's another day.
I'm
we
dying
have a lot.
to hear. Yeah.
So Moonhead, we ran out of time. I'm sorry. We'll get to you next week. No, so Moonhead, as a guy who's been watching and I think all these points are valid, right? There's no right answer here, probably. What the fuck does he have to lose? Would Chris Buescher have done the same thing? Like
no.
No? Okay. So go ahead. Give me your take, because I'm dying for it. Go.
So I think it really does boil down to the playoffs. I get why he did it. I think it's chicken shit that he did it, but I get why he did it. I think the biggest crime here that's not being talked about near enough is the fact that he's 32nd in points, and because he wrecked the shit out of 2 people, he's going to bump guys like Buescher potentially, or Bubba potentially, or even Truex is now in danger. And that's not right. Like, there's a flaw there. I don't know what the solution is, if they need to go back to a limit on where you can be in points in your win count, or maybe just do away with the win and you're in and do a straight points chase. That's definitely got to be part of it. Then the pit road stuff, I get it. Joey needs to be fined, but I do not think he saw the wife and kids there. Like, people are acting like he fucking Suge Knighted them and fucking ran them over out there on pit road, and that's not what he did at all. He saw the crew, he revved the motor and was fucking yelling at them. Like, that happens all the time. I'm of the belief if they just had victory lane where they should in victory lane, people wouldn't be crossing the road holding kids and holding objects and not looking both ways. Like, it's dangerous. Something's going to happen. I love the access. Like, I think it's so cool. I walked out on pit road with Spider when Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick were going at it in Bristol. Yeah. That was awesome. Should I have been there? Absolutely not. But nobody stopped me. And that's great. That's what makes NASCAR awesome. But eventually, some idiot who's probably had way too many liquor drinks in a hospitality area is going to come stumbling out there and get smoked by a car. And it could very well be me. So I think we need to go back to victory lane interviews and victory lane celebrations, and all that happens. But I think overall the biggest crime here is the playoff format, allowing a guy in 32nd in points who hasn't been a factor in 6 years come in and wreck 2 of your star drivers. And now he's going to have a chance to race for a championship and essentially take up a spot that somebody like, I don't know who's going to be out, but one of these guys. One of these guys.
Who's Chastain. Close. You know what I mean? Like the guy that we're about to have coming up. So I think that's why it's an interesting, perspective from him. Can I ask you guys one more, not one more question, one of many questions. How about the spotter? Like, so I have a problem with the spotter with Kyle Larson and him saying, because he lets you do that to him, like when he bitched Kyle Larson, who everybody fucking holds in all this high regard. Kyle Larson's the best guy to ever fucking since Juan Pablo Montoya, right? And yet his guy can talk shit to him. We don't know what the relationship, blah, blah, blah. To come over, it's such a luxury to be in every huddle, during NASCAR. Right? There's no other fucking sport that lets you in every huddle, because this is what I'm considering a huddle. NASCAR, you get to hear what the driver is saying to everybody. It's a blessing and a fucking curse. Should that guy get in trouble? And I mean real trouble for saying wreck him before, because it has caused a newer and more difficult wrinkle for even NASCAR to address. When teammates are telling you, and I'm not saying that Austin Dillon did what he did because the spotter told him to. I don't think the spotters have as much control, maybe. I think the last person that can be held responsible, obviously, is the driver. But what do you think about the spotter's comments there? And should he get fined or suspended or something like that? Because I think he should. And I don't know the gentleman. We know a couple of spotters, and I don't like any of them. Freddie Kraft, what a dick. Netflix, I'm just joking. Netflix, Nick, Freddie, all those guys that we know are spotters are great guys. But what do you think? Should he get a slap on the wrist as well?
I don't know what their history of penalizing is based on like what their precedent is for this. Personally, I kind of love it. I mean, I think one, they fucked themselves and they opened themselves up to, whatever the penalty will be. However, like that's raw emotion. There's one lap left.
100%.
They're in the fourth, like they're in the last turn, and they're like, "Yo, wreck them." Like that's the type of shit. Back to the access thing, whether it be sneaking on pit road or being able to hear what they're telling their driver in real time. That is part of what makes NASCAR so great. So I love that little tidbit. The only part I didn't like about it was obviously Richard Childress after the fact pretending as if.
Yeah, but that was also great to see him watch that video.
It was hilarious. It made for a great.
That was after.
It made for a great, I think his line was like, "You can't believe everything you see on the internet." Like he tried to like blame it on like being an AI. Yeah, it was a deep fake. Exactly.
Did Richard come over to the radio and say "Pop is proud of you" or something like that? Did somebody?
I think that was the quote. I didn't hear that, but I
that
saw
could
that
be a fake
quoted.
news. I apologize to anyone who I got catfished on that shit, because if he said that, I could tell you one thing: Richard Childress should shut the fuck up, because that's embarrassing. If Pop Loves You comes over a radio that everyone's listening to after you just wiped out the front
that is
of the
kind of
field.
cringe. Like as if they didn't give enough, like NASCAR fans enough to like shit on them for. They're gonna say something like that. But
what do you think of the spotter thing, Quigs? Shut up. Or?
It's complete. Just like that's when you're just almost a fan. Like I don't know. It's just reaction where it's
that's
he
true.
He didn't plan to say wreck him. It's just like he just sees the opportunity. He's like wreck him. Like, which is probably like in Austin Dillon's head, he's probably got like the devil on his shoulder, be like wreck him, and then you hear it over your headset and just goes for it.
I
don't know. He'll probably get. Do they suspend spotters?
They will find. Didn't Denny Hamlin get fined?
They'll probably just tack on like if Austin Dillon gets suspended for 2 races, they'll probably be like spotters also suspended.
This little tidbit also rocks because now like. Even in the blog I wrote, I blamed Austin Dillon doing what he did on team orders. And I think he can do the same thing too. Like the blood isn't on his hands. The blood is not on his hands.
Have you seen? There's a clip of Dirty Mo. That's the defense he's taking. I think.
It really?
He's like, my spotter just turned into like a fan there, and he shouldn't have said that. I'm like, shut the hell up, dude.
No way.
He's not driving the car. I don't know that he even like. I think it was all just instinct. I think they were all so shocked that they had a chance to win a race that they were just losing their minds, really, and like no excuse for it. But like, I don't think the spotter should be taking this much heat. He's not driving the car.
Imagine the spotter gets fired and has to like sacrifice his job for this win. But no, I think Moonhead and Quiggs are spot on. Like like Quiggs said, he was like a fan reacting on the last lap, like he fanboyed. And I don't know. I think it's hilarious though that Austin Dillon is using that defense. That rocks. I was kind of kidding when I said just blame your spotter, and it sounds like he actually is. So,
and again, I'm going to tell you guys that we are going to break in, because you'll be listening to this on Thursday or Friday or maybe Saturday. We'll break in and tell you what the ultimate punishment is. But since we're recording on Tuesday afternoon, we don't know yet. So I can ask you guys, what do you think the punishments should be? First off, do you think the spotter, Joey Logano, Austin Dillon, should they be punished, and how deep should that punishment be? Spider, would you like to lead it off?
Yeah, I'm going to lead off by saying, like I said, this is the hardest part of our job is assessing penalties. I never know how to do it. If there's one that I'm starting with, it's the Joey Logano incident. Okay. And I know I'm going to get smoked for that.
No. I think that's what I want. I want Joey, Spotter, Austin, in that order.
I would say that. Wait, I'm sorry. Say him again.
Joey, Spotter, Austin Dillon. Tell me what you think should happen to them.
I mean, I have a hard time penalizing Austin Dillon based on, again, what Elton Sawyer said and what the history of our sport is with the whole beating and banging, rubbing his race and dump a guy for a win, send him up the track for a win. Was it dirty? Was it egregious? Yes, but I'm not sure how he should be penalized. Joey Logano should be penalized. He did something post-race that could have jeopardized the safety of fans and families. I stand by that. The spotter, again, I don't know what the precedent was in years past. If I remember correctly, Denny Hamlin got penalized on his podcast with a monetary fine because he admitted to intentionally wrecking a guy. I know that's kind of apples to oranges here, but I would probably assume a similar penalty for the spotter, if they even penalize. I don't know if what the precedent is for that.
I will interject that, like, Joey Logano, when they said, "What were you going to do next week?" and I think Joey was about to speak, and he said, "You'll see," because it's the Denny Hamlin rule, right? When there's an open mic in your face now, things have changed. The spotter knows that as well as Joey Logano does.
Well, that's why I think, back to Quiggs' point, like, he lost his professionalism and became a fan real quick and was like, wreck him, like pulling for the win. But so those are my penalties. None for Austin, which I'm going to get smoked for.
Yep.
Something for Joey. You can't allow that. That has to be at least a slap on the wrist. And then whatever the historical precedent has been for the spotter incident. But that's where I'm at.
I think the actual penalty, like what actually hurts, is it's you give him the race win and he's in the playoffs, or you decide the race win doesn't count, you take it away, he's not in the playoffs. I think any other punishment they're okay with, and it's the cost of what they did to win, any sort of suspension or fine. So it's, do you take the race away or not? And
I think there's a good chance they take the race, to be honest.
Well, I think they're always worried about precedent stuff, like setting precedents and things like that. So I bet that's more what they're thinking about rather than the actual event itself. I think what they'll end up doing is a suspension to make it act like they took some gave out some punishment, but they won't take the race away. And I'm okay with that personally.
What about Joey?
I could see other people not. He'll get a monetary fine, $50K.
What about the spotter?
Like if it's a suspension for Austin Dillon, they'll just match it with the spotter.
Yeah,
he's out
I
for
feel
those
like
2 races
he might
too.
get suspended, because don't they like eject crew chiefs and stuff? I know, again, that's not based on what this penalty is for.
No, but you say the precedent set sometimes when there's some sort of mechanical malfunction or something. Sometimes crew chief gets it as well.
Right.
So I would assume something's going to happen. Moon, I want Logano, spotter, Austin Dillon. What do you think's going to happen? What do you think should happen?
I think Logano will probably get 50,000 or so. Just judging off the year and kind of what's happened in the past. And I mean, Stenhouse got 75 for punching Kyle Busch in the face, and I do feel like driving your car at someone's family is probably a little worse than that. I think I don't know. I think they'll try to find a way to do something with the win, either to make it not count for playoffs or take the win away completely. I don't think they can take away the win completely at this point. Like, I think they kind of made their bed on Sunday night, not taking it away in real time. But I could see them taking, after listening to the radio, if they do something to the spotter and say, well, hey, he told you to wreck these guys, so it don't count for the playoffs. We've seen them do stuff like that before. They added an extra car in 2013 or whenever, when Boyer and all them spun out on purpose and did all that stuff. So I think it's going to be a situation like that where they'll try to find a way to make the win not count for playoff eligibility, but maybe it'll still stand. And then I think they'll either fine or suspend the spotter. I think he's going to end up being the fall guy for all this, unfortunately for him. And he was just having the time of his life up there.
I think Quiggs actually had said it best. Like, NASCAR either needs to go scorched earth or nothing they do matters. I don't even know how a sports book that just paid out, whoever bet on Austin Dillon got a bag, right? So I'm not sure exactly how they're going to handle that, but they certainly need to, and it could be precedent setting. I would think that the person that we should ask finally about this would probably be the person who knows the most, and that's going to be Ross Chastain, who we're about to go 3 wide with. And 3 wide is brought to you by Vanderhagen. Make the switch from a cartridge razor to a safety razor today with Vanderhagen. Safety razors allow you to get a closer, more comfortable shave, and the use of a one-blade razor helps prevent nicks and cuts while making your skin feel smoother than ever. And the best part, these blades cost as little as $1 a piece and last anywhere from 3 to 5 shaves. This will save you thousands of dollars over the years compared to the cost of cartridge razors. So, you ready to step up your shaving game like I did? Get the smoothest, closest shave with their single blade and shea butter combo. Say goodbye to nicks and irritation and hello to a shave that's almost too smooth to handle. Get a shave so smooth, it should come with a warning. Perfectly close, incredibly soft. That's how real men shave. Check out your local Target and Walmart to get yourself a Vanderhagen safety razor today. And with that, we're going to go 3 wide with my man Ross Chastain. Let's go. All right, so as promised, we're 3 wide with my man Ross Chastain, driver of the #1 Chevy for Trackhouse Racing. He's a watermelon man. He rides walls. He throws punches. He's no fucking stranger to controversy. It's goddamn Ross Chastain. Ross, we're going to get to you and your season and all the stuff that's happening with you in just a second. But we came in from the conversation about talking about the day that Austin Dillon chose violence. When they came up to you after the race, you had said that you hadn't yet seen the footage. Yeah, and it's because you just got out of a fucking race car. Excuse me. You just got out of a goddamn race car. Now that you've seen the footage, and we're still ahead of hearing whether or not NASCAR is going to levy any kind of fines, penalties, whatever, or if they're going to really drop the hammer on them. How do you feel about what you had seen, and what do you think the reaction from NASCAR should be? How's that for a question?
Guys, come on. I mean, look, you just fit a lot of questions in, but if you think for a minute that I believe that I know what NASCAR is going to do, there's no way. I don't have a clue. So whatever they do, that's up for them. I just drive the one car, and I'm glad to be out of the spotlight for this one.
Yeah, is it one of those things where you're glad to be away from this, or because sometimes you don't mind having some of the smoke, right? I mean, I think you get a little bit more competitive. You dig in. I mean, everyone talks about how the one person who they don't want to have to pass at the end of the race is Ross Chastain. Right? Nobody drives in their rear view like you, huh?
Who wants to get past? We're racing.
No, exactly. They're all hard
to pass too. They just voice their opinions and their thoughts more. No, I don't. I mean, look, if I was faster, I would have loved to have been up there racing for the win. We were unfortunately, restarting 8, so we were fighting for a top 5 as they were all crashing. Was happy to get through it. When Joey spun, I thought he might land right in my lap, but he, fortunately for us, kept going up to the outside wall.
You're a guy that will win at all costs, whether it means riding the wall past everyone or trying to take a shortcut at a road course and having them change the rules for you thereafter. Do you think that this move from Austin Dillon was just kind of doing whatever it took to win, or just a product of the playoff format?
I mean, first off, I called a long cut at the Indy Road Course. Okay, I believe I went longer if you measure it than they did, but I did it better. So we got a 30-second penalty. But what was going through those guys' heads, or what everybody's motives are? We're here to win races. That's why we're racing in the Cup Series. That's what got us here. We all won something to move up the ranks in the ladder of stock car racing, and got us here to Cup. So I don't know what everybody had going on, right? I mean, I know from the outside, but inside the helmet, inside the car, I'm not sure. So it's a lot of things came together to have that. I mean, we went the whole race coming to the white flag basically without a caution, and get one and then set up that craziness.
What would you have done if you're one of the two guys now that seem to have maybe legitimate gripes? I say maybe, but it seems like it's more not a maybe, legitimate gripes. If it was Joey or if it was Denny. Denny seemed a little bit cool and collected compared to how Denny sometimes is. And I think he had said in Actions Detrimental, he had thought maybe Austin was coming off the 20, like he hit into the 22, and that's why it had happened, as opposed to him being hooked in his rear right. What if it was Ross Chastain who was on the receiving end of this? Would you have been just absolutely, because you know how you are when you get out of a car. I know how I am when I get cut off in traffic. I'm a different person. I right away look to see if you fucking redhead, like anything that I can find. So Ross Chastain, where are you as far as being a hothead, and how do you think you would have reacted if that was you who had beat Austin Dillon on the restart, or you were P3 and said, holy shit, these guys are getting into themselves. I'm about to get another win that Denny Hamlin had?
I'm human.
Tough?
I'm human. I'm going to react just like everybody else. If you don't win a race, you can see the checkered flag and you can't get there and you lose and you feel like somebody took that from you, then yes, you're upset. I'm no different, and most people in this world are when they can see that checkered flag and what winning cup races means, what dominoes that sets off for a lot of things and for a lot of people, a lot of families, if you win for your team. So I would have reacted. I would have been disappointed. I'd have been mad, sad. All the feelings come rushing in for me, and some guys show that, and some hold it in a little bit more.
But you don't think it would have blew up the internet if Ross Chastain ran over and just smashed a fucking watermelon on Austin Dillon's head? Holy shit. That would, that's the ESPN fucking clip of the year. You got some, Spider?
Yeah. So during the chaos, and you mentioned it all happened so quick, everyone was in their own situation and everything. It was really exciting to watch that post race. And I think that the broadcast did a great job of kind of getting a bunch of different angles. Two of the most surprising / entertaining were Joey Logano kind of shitting on Austin Dillon, as much as I didn't agree with it. And then Denny Hamlin kind of being somewhere a little bit less as hot. One other thing that I loved was you were seemingly one of the only guys on the other side of the fence. I saw you run up to Austin Dillon's car and congratulate him. I also saw that from Kyle Busch. But do you think there's any advice you would have for Austin Dillon now moving forward, as he might be, receiving
payback?
Payback. Yeah, thank you, Large. Payback or anything like that.
Oh gosh, no. Austin doesn't need any advice from me. But in my experience, moving forward from those incidents, then you get blamed for everything. We saw it. I mean, the memes that happened at Richmond. I don't know which race it was. If it was a year ago, spring race maybe last year. I caused the dinosaurs to go extinct. So there was all kinds of crazy memes out there. So Austin might get lumped into that. I don't understand how the internet works as far as what starts happening and why people jump on bandwagons. But my experience, I just start getting blamed for it raining and everything else under the sun.
We're going to move on from this, but I really appreciate you giving your opinion on it. I have one more question to ask about it because we had brought it up before you'd come on. Spotters. So spotters seem to have gotten more of a voice lately. I mean, we had seen how Kyle Larson had gotten into it, where a spotter kind of emasculated him at one point about the way. And then obviously this gentleman might get in trouble for yelling wreck 'em, even though we sort of feel like this guy was just fanboying. And they're not the final say in what the guy behind the wheel does. So like you said, you'll get blamed for a rainstorm. Everything goes on the driver's shoulders. Is that true? Or do you really take, does a spotter instructions trump your instinct? Where are they in the hierarchy of the decision-making process for a guy driving at the highest level in NASCAR?
For me and Brandon McReynolds, my buddy, my spotter on the roof, we've raced together. We've been friends before we worked together, which is always a tough balance, but we work really well together. And basically in those moments for me, in my experience, I'm reacting to my instincts, what I see, what I feel, and what I think I should do. Now, where he really comes in is when there's thick smoke. When the smoke is thick enough that I can't see, I have to default to him. And there's been times over the years where he just says, go high, and I blindly turn right into smoke because I can't stop and I don't know which way to go, so I just follow him. Now, Brandon is super calm. So compared to what I hear my competitors, because I do listen and study other guys and teams and see how they interact to see if they're doing something that I could be doing better. And when I listen to a lot of them and I'll be clicking through their audio for a race, I'm just thankful for our group because I just enjoy our calmness. I enjoy that basically the only time you hear cussing or voices raised is after an impact. Is as we're impacting the wall, you'll hear Brandon react, verbally different than he does the rest of the race. If we're racing, if anything happens and we can continue to race, it's different than when we're on our way to the wall. Usually the last thing I hear before an impact is not something normally that I would hear. So That's usually meaning we're about to be out of the race, and I can't stop. I'm about to hit the wall. So, yeah, I'm just thankful for how Brandon handles himself. He's a professional. He works and has a life outside of spotting. That's not his only job. He's works at the Clear 28 agency and runs that, and manages drivers and manages accounts, and it has a full-time job, and then comes and spots full-time for us on the one car. And so I love that. I love that he hustles. I like that he is switched on in the business side of our sport, which is so important. He was a racer. I've crashed him. So all that said, we just fit really well together, and you wouldn't.
Did he tell you to ride the wall?
Hear anything like what I heard at the end of Richmond from Brandon?
Did he tell you to ride the wall, Brandon? Can we blame him? No,
he was. No, he was silent, and then I'm coming off turn 4, and he just keys up and real calmly goes, "Hold it up there, man. Keep coming. Hold it up there." Yeah. And that was the first thing because I thought I had blacked out and didn't hear him at the Hail Melon. And when I listened back to it, he was silent for most of the wall ride, and then off of 4, he just says, "Hold it up there." I didn't even have my hands on the wheel at that point, but.
And that's hilarious, kid. We're friendly with Brandon Spider and I. We do some work with him, and to show you how good of a businessman he is, he just got married, and he has no business marrying a woman that beautiful, because Brandon is intrinsically an ugly guy, and so he really outkicked this coverage. I wanted to say that on the air. I hope he gets
Alex
back
is
to him.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, he's wonderful.
Speaking of weddings, were you at Daniel Suarez's wedding in Brazil?
No, I was at the McReynolds wedding. Stick on the ice. Let's go.
A lot of I wanted to get your take on. I know we asked you a lot of tough questions about reactions and your take on penalties and everything like that. I saw Daniel Suarez just signed a new contract extension. I heard that you said, I forget to which beat reporter, probably Bob Pockris, that you were excited to be the one-car driver and looking forward to that long-term at Trackhouse. What can you say about what Trackhouse is building? I feel like this is a big time for Trackhouse coming together, and then obviously into next year should be exciting with whatever driver, I'm not going to ask you who, gets added to the team.
Yeah, if and like I said about NASCAR, same way with Justin Marks, that's where I first thought this. If anybody thinks I know what Justin is going to do, I don't, and so I don't begin to even try to. I'm sitting in the office that he'll work out of, Ty Norris works out of when they're in town here, so I can see out behind the camera, which is a terrible thing to say on camera when I'm not going to turn around and show it to you. Mm-hmm. But the shop's busy, a ton of employees here, over 150 employees, and we're hiring people. We're in a growth mindset, as Justin would say, and so it's a good time to be here. I'm sure the speed the last few months hasn't been what we're looking for, what we have kind of became accustomed to, but the work is still getting put in. Everybody's still showing up. The break was a nice break for all of us to take a week or two and not think about these race cars, but they were waiting on us when we came back in Richmond, right? We hit the ground running and felt good about both cars. So that was really rewarding. I love that this group of people, we go to battle together. And we've been doing it, even before Trackhouse, back to the 42 car, we had some of the same people that are on the one car now. We were together on the 42. So we took our lumps that year, the last year of the Gen 6 car, and then came into the Gen 7 and hit the ground running, obviously.
Nice to come back from break and get 2 guys in the top 10, get a stage win, all that stuff. So welcome back to it. If you don't mind, I'm going to pivot and talk about the relationship with jockey. I personally like when drivers are business savvy enough and self-deprecating enough to take a pie to the face. God knows I've done it for Barstool, and they don't pay me anything here. So to have you drive the car with you in your underwear kind of on the door, not kind of, on the door, I thought was like Tyler Reddick dressing up as the Hamburglar. You doing this. I think those nuances really make it special for an advertiser, a sponsor, and the driver itself. How do you make that connection? How do they know that Ross Chastain is DTF with, kind of being a little bit silly when he's going in to drive at 190 miles an hour against a bulldozer like Austin Dillon. I'm just fucking with Austin again. No, but you know what I'm saying? So how do they know that you're willing to do that? Obviously, you have a lot of personality and you're liked, and the Melon Man thing is awesome and the merch is flying off the shelves. And then where's the line? What won't you do?
Well, we're in the underwear business, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about underwear. Yeah.
Let's go.
Look, would I have dreamed up, me and my underwear on the side of the car? No, I'm a pretty simple guy. You don't see a lot of me. I'm definitely not this flashy normally, but my relationship with Jockey really took a turn for the better. Just to get to know each other. About a year and a half ago, we went up to their headquarters and we had a tricycle race. And it might sound trivial, but we lined up with some of the folks at Jockey, and I took it serious. And I had a high cadence. There was a turn. I took a low center of gravity. I leaned left. It was around the corner. Right. And they couldn't believe that I was like that competitive. I'm like, you're not winning. I don't care that you sponsor the car. I'm winning. I'm going to try to win this race. So those are cool times with everybody up there at their HQ. But it's a good time. It's a good time to be having on some underwear that just keep us cool. It's hot as can be down here in Charlotte, Concord, North Carolina, where we're at. So look, I mean, it's underwear. You can't take yourself too serious when we're talking about underwear. And hopefully, we all know what we're talking about because we're all wearing them, right?
That's right. Were you racing in your jockeys on Sunday?
So little, caveat to all this is jockey. We don't have fireproof jockeys.
Oh, okay.
And as much as I'm comfortable in them, I don't want them melting to me with the spandex and different things that they've got in it. And I'm no underwear and jockey expert. Okay. So, we don't want them getting hot, in a case of a fire. So, no, we just had our normal Nomex on, and that Sparco that we have from them. So, unfortunately, no, once I crawl in, can't have it on, but that's why we had to put it on the outside.
I think the next jockey scheme, we need to get you a fire suit that looked like the side of the car. So it looks like you're just shirtless and then you're just wearing jockey underwear. I think that would be hilarious.
Are we gonna print those abs on the?
Yeah, we can make a 6-pack on there if you want. I don't know if you have any like chest tats or back tats or anything too. We could get tattoos on there. Maybe a little hair for extra detail. Whatever you want.
You got to zoom in on the car from Richmond, man. I mean, zoom in and see what you can find.
Yeah. I will tell you that when we had Tony Breidinger on and she was driving the Victoria's Secrets car, truck, I don't think, Spider, you asked her if she was wearing Victoria's Secrets underneath her suit. It's weird. It's weird that you feel comfortable doing one and not the other. Let's keep on with the jockey thing just because I thought it was so cool. Where's the line? Because I mentioned from the top of the show, I watched this week's race with my 14-year-old daughter, who's a huge NASCAR fan now, between pornography and entertainment. So that's my first part of my question, because you never know now. Maybe you have like a ball fall out on one of these things. And Daniel Suarez is going to be running the jockey, the same type of scheme on his car. But I had heard from an insider that Daniel insisted that his bulge be a little bit bigger than yours just because he's a newlywed and he's trying to show off to his new wife. Is there something where how small of a jockey bikini brief will you go in? And did Daniel try to manipulate the bulge? You're the first person I'm asking about this, so this is a Bob Pockrass-esque scoop.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine Bob asking those questions.
No, that's a little different. Yeah, it's a little different.
You will be able to see Daniel in his jockey Chevy this weekend, and I hope that y'all give us some grades on who you think looks better, right? I mean, we are competitors.
I'll leave that to large.
Yep.
You can use your criteria as you will. Whatever's important to you guys, you can grade us, at whatever you focus on. So I'll leave that. It's a blank sheet of paper. Y'all can grade. Just
appreciate that.
Grade after the weekend. Who looks better in their jockeys.
Yes, sir. One of the things that we do is we bring new people to the track all the time, particularly Barstool guys. And inevitably, as we're going to the track, we ask everybody to make sure that they pick a driver to root for. And inevitably, we tell people, because people just want like kind of, oh, I think I'm going to root for this guy, and you're like, don't. He probably won't finish, or if you're comfortable rooting for somebody who's finished 30th, but inevitably somebody in the crew will take you, and they've always had a good experience. Right down to when we had Trent at the championship race last year, where you had won the race. Trent had actually picked up some of the confetti from when Blaney won the championship, but you had won the race, and he went over and made sure they threw it on your car because he fell in love with the one. It seems like it's very easy to root for Ross Chastain. Talk to me about the fan base and some of the feedback that you've gotten, particularly now that you're with the Trackhouse and you have, all this kind of exposure on you, because you are a very easy guy to root for, in my opinion. Exciting driver to watch, easy guy to root for.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that Phoenix race last fall. That was an amazing race, just something that hadn't been done in about a decade. And to go and compete, it was kind of it kind of embodied what Trackhouse is. That, yes, we're new and we're going to do things a little different. I remember when Justin first started, I remember the first conversation I ever had with Justin, and the first time I heard him say the word Trackhouse, I know right where I was in this world, right? When we were on the phone, and I would end up driving for him for over another year later. This was before he'd even announced the first year for 2021. So, I feel like, yes, I'm pretty normal. I get kind of, asked by whether it be people here at the shop, whether it be people that meet me, people that know me, like, why, I'm not making up the questions. They're genuinely asked me, why don't I do X, Y, or Z like the other drivers? And I have my reasons, and some I think that I'm probably at a detriment, and I think some are better off for my quality of life. So I think people see me, at the hotel race day morning of the championship race. Like, we stay at the same hotel, and there's fans in the lobby eating breakfast right next to us. And in 2022, we were going to fight for a championship. And in 2023, we were preparing to go win the race, and we're just eating breakfast at the hotel. So I feel like people see that. People see me out in just kind of general life. And, it's just, I don't know, I'm just going about my life how I see best. And I think fans see that and see that we're kind of doing the same things.
Last thing I got for you, Ross, we're headed to Michigan this weekend, Brooklyn, Michigan, a place where Large and I were at last year. We're not going to be at the race this year, unfortunately, but what can we expect from a race at Michigan?
Well, hopefully I'm louder at the race and more seen than Moonhead here. I mean, I haven't heard a peep out of him. I didn't know that was possible for you to be this quiet that long, man.
Yeah, they keep me quiet over here. I'm just doing my job over here.
Yeah,
he's the voice of God. So typically we just we ask him to explain stuff that we don't understand in the NASCAR world. And today's like the first time he sat in for an interview. So I don't know if he had stage fright or what, but Moonhead, feel free.
You're asking the guy about Daniel's bulge and stuff. I figured I'd just let y'all ask the question.
Honestly, I don't blame you.
That question from you? Because I know you were talking about Daniel's bulge when you had seen the picture of the wedding. So I just thought that was a natural progression. But if you can give us an idea of what we can expect at Michigan and Moonhead, if you have something, I'll wrap up after that. Please feel free. But make our job a little bit easier and just preview what we should be expecting at Michigan this weekend.
Yeah, so there are some unknowns. We only go here once a year. We were virtually there this morning. So Tuesday mornings, I have our simulator session for the one car. So what we see is a lot of speed. We hope that the evolution of this car through our third trip there. I remember the first trip, we took 10% a wedge out of the car in practice. We got there and we had missed the mark as Trackhouse and as Chevrolet as a whole. So we had a lot of catching up to do that first weekend, and we got there by the end of the race. Last year we led some laps early and we're in the mix. So we hope that we take more steps. We've got 2 at-bats and our third time to the plate here. We hope that we take those steps, what we've worked towards and what we've found in the cars to continue to make them faster. This sport always evolves. Yes, these are kit cars, right? They're the same car at Michigan as Martinsville as Talladega. And road courses, they're all the same. So see a lot of on throttle, depending on the weather, right? Never know. We'll see if it's cool. You see a ton of on throttle time, ton of high speeds, and drafting down the straightaways, and you have to play that game. And basically, will want to end the race basically out of fuel and tires about as old as you can stand to still compete for the win. It's not comfortable in the car. There will be some crashes. There will be guys just when you lose grip at Michigan, it is instant and there's no catching it. So there's not much sliding that happens. It's either all grip and going fast, or unfortunately not, and sliding somewhere.
Right. Moon, do you have anything?
No, I'm telling y'all asked all the hard hitting questions. I was letting y'all do your job and I got called out.
That's fine. Listen, I know I was speaking to James Hallis, who helps us with scheduling a lot of this stuff. I know you were on the Sims and you came right to us afterwards. So we really do appreciate your time, Ross. We're going to let you go. But before you do, I'm looking for a reason to hate Shane Van Gisbergen, and I can't find one. I met his goddamn dad at the Chicago street race, his sister and stuff. Do you have any inside scoop on him? Is there anything that he does? Does he kick puppies on the side? Is he very mean to old people?
He runs at outrageous speeds, and not even just on the track, but we do some workouts together. And recently he made me mad. I don't know if it's going to make you mad, but Nick Sanchez, truck series driver, Shane and I were all running on this greenway here near Mooresville, and we were doing some sprints, intervals, and jogging in between, and then sprinting, and we all took off sprinting on like the third leg of our deal. And Shane ran 28 kilometers per hour. It's like 18, 19 miles per hour. It was
what a
insane.
jerk.
Like, come on. Like,
yeah.
In America, we don't run that fast. We're like 13 miles an hour. So, no, there's nothing like the guy.
I know.
We've got to find a crack at some point. There's a little crevice in the armor. We're gonna find it.
The watermelon,
he's perfect.
The watermelon, the pinata, and that stupid football thing. Rank those. Watermelon first.
Not
pinata
even
second.
Close. I mean,
it's not even fucking close.
He just kicks the ball away, doesn't like it. I mean, I eat the watermelon. That's why I'm busting it open. Daniel might not eat the candy out of his either.
I hear you. Plus, I heard one of the footballs hit an old lady in the face and broke her nose. That's not confirmed. I might have made that up. Ross Chastain, we wish you nothing but continued success. We hope to talk to you again, and obviously we'll see you at the tracks. Have a great one, man.
All right, boys, stay cool.
All right, so that was Ross Chastain. And again, like I mentioned at the end of the interview, people taking time out of their schedule to kind of fit our schedule. We appreciate it so much. Don't mean to put him on the hot seat to talk about another driver, but yet we did, right? Because at the end of the day, we have enough friends. Fuck that. But thank you so much, Ross, for carving some time out, and I hope he does very well this weekend. Let's put a bow on what we'd seen last week at Richmond. I know we didn't even get to the prime versus option tires. We didn't even get to anybody really in the top 10, to be quite honest with you, or do any kind of over-unders. But just real quick, was everybody cool with this new the new tire situation, or was it something that you guys found more frustrating than interesting? Quiggs, what did you say?
Yeah, I don't even know if this is like the final iteration of how to actually do the tire thing, but I liked it a lot. I thought it offered a great wrinkle of strategy. It let a guy like Suarez. I don't think Suarez is in that race at any point if it wasn't for the tire call he did, which didn't work. It ended up falling off at the end, but at least gave him kind of a chance. 10. And if things went the right way, it could have worked out a lot better. I think it's a really cool thing, and they made such a difference. Like the way people can move when they had those tires, like it wasn't like they had the red and the yellow, but you really couldn't tell what was like if somebody had it on or not. Like it was, if you had the reds and everyone else had the yellows, you were just picking up spots like crazy. But I liked it a lot.
Hey, booking through traffic. Moon, you want them to keep this kind of thing going on?
I mean, at the short tracks, if they can't figure out, some of the issues with the car that are hurting passing and hurting tracks like this, I really liked what I saw. It didn't work as great at Wilkesboro, and I think that was just because of the new surface. But I don't know. I'd like to see them keep trying, keep tinkering with it. Maybe figure out a way to balance it a little more. I feel like it was kind of, everybody ended up kind of on the same strategy with the exception of a couple of guys who just took them early because they were running towards the back. But I think they're onto something. I liked it. I went into it somewhat pessimistic. I didn't think it was going to be something I was a fan of, but it made kind of added a whole new dynamic to a race that probably would not have been very exciting through the middle portions of it had they not done that.
Yeah, I agree with Moonhead wholeheartedly. You look at like Christopher Bell was like pretty much running away with this race, and I mean, I feel like the tires were at that point the only opportunity to maybe get by him. I loved the addition. I think it made it like another dynamic to watch for during the races. And as Moonhead said, sometimes the short track races kind of struggle in the middle of the race until you get to the dramatic finish, which we all saw. So I don't know. I don't know enough about him, but it seemed like a welcome addition on Sunday. And I think if they do it right and implement it properly moving forward, it will just provide us with more successful results like we saw Sunday. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I don't know if any competitor says that they would have been out of the race otherwise, but let's say Daniel didn't think that he had the car to win that race, to switch tires before anybody else and then grab a stage win and a P10 finish, I think is a home run. So, yeah, it's an
and his
interesting
like to what Moonhead was saying, where everybody was kind of on the same strategy. That was, correct me if I'm wrong, but they put them all on for overtime, right?
Most like there were like a whole list of them. Like most of them saved for the end.
Yeah,
if there wasn't that bizarre caution, Suarez utilized them the best out of anyone. Yeah. Like they were very close to not using their second set.
It adds a whole nother strategy in, and I think it makes the race more exciting. I think if you polled the drivers, I don't think any of them. Well, I shouldn't say any. I would say majority are probably like happy with that. If they had a chance, you know.
No, I agree. I will say that one of the things that I was sad to see Truex say, "Hey, it's my last time at Richmond. I didn't want it to end like this." It was kind of, end of an era type thing. He normally doesn't show any emotion. That's about as much as you're going to get from Martin Truex. And I just wanted to congratulate Bubba. I would have gave him an over his fourth top 10 in the last 5 races. Let's go to Nobody's Cooler. Nobody's Cooler segment is brought to you by Arctic. I have the Arctic cooler right next to me, the personalized one. Rubbin is racing. Arctic's premium coolers and drinkware are all engineered to perform and overbuilt to last year after year, and their durable products cost 30 to 50% less than competitors. I don't stress that enough. These things are 30 to 50% less than that overpriced crap. Ultra Tough and Ultra Light coolers, also wheeled in soft pack coolers, and Arctic's insulated drinkware that locks in the temperature. All of it's now available at Walmart, so head to your local store to shop in person. And don't forget, Arctic Outdoors is the official cooler and drinkware of NASCAR. And if you can't get to the store, head to arcticoutdoors.com, RTIC outdoors.com to check out more. That's arcticoutdoors.com. RTICoutdoors.com. Thank you, Arctic. Choosing a Nobody's Cooler, we don't necessarily have to choose anybody from the specific race, and I almost took Landon Huffman. Just because I thought, even though it's an old race, the way that he turned around and got some sponsorship from the Trash Pandas was fantastic. So I was going to get into that. I'm not now, because I'm going to give the Nobody's Cooler to Ricky Stenhouse. Because if Ricky Stenhouse didn't decide to do Ricky Stenhouse things, then we wouldn't have had this much shit to talk about this week. So I'm giving Nobody's Cooler than fucking Ricky Stenhouse, who we like very much and who made for a very interesting week of headlines here at NASCAR. So congratulations to Ricky, and thank you to Arctic Coolers. We're going to go to preview because NASCAR is having I think this season has provided a little bit of everything for everyone, and I don't see it slowing down. But the break is over, and the Cup Series will race for the next 13 consecutive weekends. And in that span, there are 2 Saturday night races. It's going to be Daytona and Bristol, both on Saturday night. I'm excited for them both. But this race, this weekend, we're going back to Michigan. Brooklyn, Michigan, Irish Hills, Michigan, which we went to last year. We had a ball. The RVs are already camped there since yesterday, since Monday. And the infield at Michigan is a ton of fun. And it was surprising to me because you think about, Talladega and all that shit. It's Michidega. It's an absolute blast. If you're going to get to a race, consider going to Michigan. Cabo Wabo 250 starts at 3:30 p.m. on Saturday. More importantly, the Firekeepers Casino 400 is Sunday at 2:30 p.m. I think both of them are going to be covered on USA. Last year's winner was Chris Buescher, but we're going to go in and we're going to pick this year's winner. We're only picking winners right now. We might add some stuff to the ticket a little bit later on. But Spider, are you seeing any? Who wants to go first? Anything jumping off the screen as we look at DraftKings to see who are going to throw a couple of shekels on responsibly this weekend?
I mean, Denny Hamlin in his last 3 races at Michigan has 3 top 5s, 0 wins. He's currently the favorite. He's not going to be my pick, or excuse me, he's not the favorite. Currently, Kyle Larson is at 5.5 to 1. Denny's 6 to 1. I think I like the Ford drivers this week, and my main pick is going to be Ryan Blaney, who's 750 plus 750. Quiggs just read the history of the race winners at this track. And if I'm not mistaken, the last, 4, 5, 6 are all Ford drivers.
Yeah, a lot of Harvicks in there.
I know this race is in Brooklyn, Michigan. It's not like I mean, it's basically Ford's backyard is what I'm calling it. This race is going to mean more to Ford. And I've been really impressed prior to the 2-week Olympic break with what we saw from Blaney. It seemed like he was kind of slow starter at the beginning of the season, and then the middle part of it, he kind of turned it on. So I'm going to see if he can get back up there this week. The only other thing I got is a Chase Elliott top 10. In 13 races here, he has 10 top 10s. I don't see the current odds on that for a top 10. It's probably going to be minus 200, but I don't know. That's probably worth the sprinkle. I might take him top 5. But I also, another guy that I like is Ty Gibbs here. In 2 races here, he's finished 11th and 10th. I'm going to take him for a top 10 as well. So, again, that probably might not be as juicy, but look for Ty Gibbs. He would be the Toyota guy that I rock with this week. Although Christopher Bell at 9 to 1, I always kind of like Christopher Bell. But, yeah, I'm sticking with Ryan Blaney as my main pick. I wouldn't be surprised. I know I'm saying like 10 names now. If RFK shows up again, whether it be Busher, repeats,
Spider, you're spraying the fucking field.
Or Brad K.
The fucking field.
But I do expect it. I do expect it to be Ford. I'm going with Blaney plus 750, and then the Elliott and Gibbs top 10 or top 5s, depending on where those odds are at.
Where are you going with the Quicks?
Mine's pretty boring. I got sprayed by Spider. I got Blaney and Gibbs as my winners.
Oh wow. Gibbs too, huh?
Yeah. I don't know. I've been in a bad habit of like seeing the guys who look dominant and being like, I'm not going to take them because their odds aren't good enough. I think really you should consider Hamlin or Larson here, but I don't want to do that. I want some value, and Blaney looks great. I really like him, and I don't know. I've just been sitting on Ty Gibbs being like he's going to get one, and he won't, but I'm going to be there for it if he does. So
I think I'm going to take Bell. I'm tempted to take.
He's not done well here.
No,
5 races, no top 10s.
Between Byron and Bell, but
or I guess I'm looking at the last 5. He's not done well in the last 5.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to take Bell then, because if I take that off the table, then he's guaranteed to win. So I'll take Chris Bell, and then my long shot is I think plus 1800 is kind of long odds for a returning winner. I'll take Mr. Busher. That's shout out to Tyler Pinnell. So I'll take Busher and Bell, and we'll add some more stuff to the card as it goes on. Anything jump out to you, Moon?
Man, Busher, definitely. I agree with Spider on the Fords. It's hard to go against him here. Reddick hasn't finished great here. He's qualified great a couple of times, and I feel like he's due. He's had enough second place finishes this year that I would not be surprised to see him show up. But I've also had the worst year I think I've had ever when it comes to predicting stuff like this. And this year in general has just been very unpredictable. So I would say I would probably go with a Ford. If I was going outside of a Ford, I'd probably go with Reddick just because I've got a feeling. But who's to say, Corey LaJoie or somebody's not going to pull an Austin Dillon this week and turn the whole thing upside down here.
But I mean, is that what's going to happen? I mean, if we don't see enough of a fine.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, does it just behoove people to just fucking hook and I don't know. I mean, it could change the face of NASCAR. But before we go, how uncomfortable do you think it's going to be for Austin Dillon to be playing basketball with Denny Hamlin on Thursday? When this drops, I think their hoop groups are getting together. I can't imagine there won't be some extra sharpened elbows during that game. Don't you think? I mean, it's just one of those things. I
don't think he shows up.
Yeah, you think he does show up? That'd be fucking fantastic.
No, I think he's going to use the rib injury thing that you were reading as an excuse. And
Spider, you tell me about that. The rib injury you had sent me, didn't you?
Yeah, as a guy that's been hit by Paul Swan and embraced by him, I've seen him do it to Taylor and Will from Bussin' with the Boys, literal NFL players. Paul gives a straight-up bear hug every time you see him. So I'm not calling Austin Dillon a pussy. I believe that he actually probably is injured. Austin's honestly kind of like my size too, so that's a very real thing. I do kind of like the conspiracy that Quiggs just floated, though, that Austin will just miss the race because
or miss the basketball game.
I'll miss the basketball game. I thought you were saying he'll lay low.
No, I don't think he's sitting the race
skips
out.
Michigan.
He's too injured, and the fall guy isn't the spotter. It's Paul Swan.
That would my be God, that would be awesome. Spidey Scoops, what do you rate that one? What do you rate that rumor that Quiggs is now spreading that Austin Dillon will skip Michigan because of a sore
No.
I've never said it all. I'm making
Michigan.
it up. Quiggs,
I said skip the basketball
I know you
game.
said oops, but I'm blowing it up.
D.
Okay. That's it for Rubbin' is Racing. Does anyone have anything else to promote before we get out of there? Moon Car, what are we doing on that? Monday nights, Moon Car?
Yeah, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
I'm coming for your ass soon.
Yeah, Spider's making a return. I heard rumors.
So we're working to get Quiggs and I have been working to get a iRacing setup here in the Chicago office, and we're just about ready. I have the speakers off screen here, which I'm gonna go install.
It's the real deal.
And,
it's the first time I've ever iRaced.
Yeah, I thought Quiggs got me DQ'd last night. He caused 10 incidents, and then he got disqualified from the race.
You also have way bigger issues than me.
Oh no, listen,
that was my first time racing. It wasn't great. I have more respect for it than half the people in this office will.
Yep.
People are going to go out there intentionally trying to wreck things. You're getting banned quick.
Yeah, the stewardess at NASCAR at iRacing need to lighten the leash a little.
Yeah, I'm the least of your worries.
Anything else to promote? Well, apparently Moonhead has some merch. Quiggs is rocking it now.
I got it.
Rubbin' is Racing don't have any, but that's a fucking travesty. So show up at, what is it, Moonhead, or is it OnlyFans? Where do you sell it?
Yeah, it's my my OnlyFans. No, it's just mooncar.store. We've got one whole shirt up there right now, but there's more coming.
Took him years to make.
Yeah.
He put it out like a year ago. I was waiting for it. Never came out. Finally came out. Got one.
Austin Dillon, it was all but guaranteed to have a very easy win. A couple of things. Hey, did Joey jump the restart?
Oh, don't start that. We'll be here for another 2 hours.
Yeah. Did Joey jump the restart? Did you talk about that?
No.
No? Okay. But thank you so much to everybody. Thank you for Arctic. Thank you to Cabo Wabo, Vanderhagen, and, of course, NASCAR. We'll see you guys next week. Rubbin' is Racing.